Welcome, everybody. It is our third curriculum call. We have two more integration calls. One of them is on Friday, and then the next one is on Monday. So that's where we're at. Today, I have quite a few agenda items. I may have packed a little more in than I should have, but it happens for me. So we may be moving some of the things and continuing them into Friday, but we'll see how it goes. So first I want to just check in around Shifting into Body Love series and just say a couple of things about that. I want to jump right into our third issue around relationship with self. And I want to meditate together and deepen the conversation of relationship with self. And I want to say a little bit more about what's next in case you want to continue this work. So that pretty much, I think that's 5 or 6 agenda items, depending on how you count them. So first I want to start with checking in if anybody has any questions about the Shifting into Body Love series, any observations. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is what it is. I offered a bonus with the compassionate eating, and it was the 7-day Shifting into Body Love series, which is an exploration of the Body Love Map. And the Body Love Map is a curriculum that I created that really came out of working with women for, I don't know, I did it a few years ago, so a while ago, so maybe about after working with women for 20 years. And I was seeing women in a certain realm of relationship and stuck there, and really opening up the conversation to what are the other kinds of relationships we can have with our body. One of the things you'll notice in the Shifting into Body Love series is that I talk a lot about body ease. If I was to redo that video series now, I wouldn't call it body ease. I would call it body peace, because I don't think that we're always in ease with our body. And even if we're not in ease, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, even if we're not within ease, we can still be at peace, right? I often think about Israel and Egypt. They are not at ease with each other, but they have peace. They respect that they have different cultures. They respect that they have different ways of doing it. They're not lovey-dovey, but they're not at war, right? So I would shift that concept of body ease to body peace, because I think it's more sustainable than body ease. And I think my experience in deepening with the work, which is always what I'm doing, is that when women have this high bar, and I talk about this a little bit in the Shifting into Body Love series, this high bar of love, I'm going to love my body, it boots us out of authentic relationship, right? And we're going to talk more about that today. Okay. And what I'm most interested in is that you have an authentic and sustainable relationship where you are on your body side, because that is what creates long-lasting sense of well-being. And that's also what reduces our internal stress. To go back to last week's theme around nervous system, it reduces our internal stress of hating our body, because that war increases the internal experience of stress, increases cortisol, increases adrenaline, reduces digestion, reduces immune system, reduces calorie burning, metabolism, right? We want to continue to support our bodies. Okay, so anything anybody wants to chime in about the Body Love Map? Everybody's getting them by, if you haven't found them in your emails, please check spam or your promotion folders. Usually they're hiding there for you, just waiting. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about that. Today, we are on our third touchstone, sort of obstacle, doorway, right? Stepping stone, right? To bridge that gap between what we know and what we do. So we talked first week blood sugar, right? We get caught in that place of, I know what to do, but I don't do it because our blood sugar is going to take us and do whatever the heck it wants because we're low blood sugar, right? Our biology is going to rule. So that was the first week we really dove into that. And that's also why I recommend the Healthy Full Fridge, is because it lets us have blood sugar stabilizing foods at our fingertips. Then the next week we talked about nervous system, right? What happens when we're cranked up? What are the things that we go for, right? When we're cranked up in our nervous system, again, it's hard to do what we want to do because we're going to do whatever it takes to calm our nervous system, right? And I heard from a lot of people, and I think Valerie, you wrote something that was so moving, and Deborah, I'm not sure, I think it was somebody else wrote something that was very, very compelling on Facebook about I'm always in fight or flight. I'm actually always in stress. And so the way that I'm managing my body, sorry, they've suddenly started doing construction outside my window, and so they're chatting. So I apologize for that. They are, we're always going to go try to turn down the nervous system, right? So food becomes our volume dial. That's why, did someone say something? Okay. So there we go. Okay. So there's always that desire to turn the volume down. And that's when people, we started talking about this last week, people start talking about, I'm an emotional eater. Well, it's not really, I wouldn't say it's, I think being an emotional eater is a fun thing to be. It's a good thing to be. We want to be connected to our emotions. We want to be connected to ourselves. Being a nervous system management eater, we need to find other ways to work with our nervous system, right? When we're always managing our nervous system with food, it's like opening a toolbox and all there is one wrench. Well, okay, that one wrench is supposed to do everything. I don't think that's going to work so well. So we need to create more tools in our toolbox to support our nervous system so that food isn't the only default. Okay, so that was with like blood sugar, nervous system. Today we're going to explore a relationship with ourselves as a primary issue that keeps us from treating ourselves with compassion, that keeps us from doing the things we know that we deserve, that we need to be doing to really support ourselves. We're also going to meditate together, but not right in this moment. So first, what I'd like to do is explore relationship. So what's a good relationship? Oh, no. Actually, let's start. What's a crappy relationship? That's always an easy one. What makes a crappy relationship? What makes a bad relationship? You can shout it out. You can put it in the comments, but what makes a bad relationship? Yeah, this one, people start flying with these. It's quite impressive. Hold on. Where it's all take and no give, no trust, right? Power struggles, disrespectful, not feeling listened to or understood, lack of respect, no presumption of good intent, critical, no trust, lack of communication. Right. Anybody recognize their relationship with their body in that list? Yeah, absolutely. Give me 1 second. I'm going to just see if I can get someone to ask the guys outside the window to stop yelling. Okay, we'll see if that works. All right. Um, oh boy, there's more. Yeah, violation of boundaries. Jen, absolutely. Judy says when you don't know how to leave. Right. Lack of like or fondness. Right. Just basic, like, I like you. Right. I care about you. Judy says, or feel like you can't. Yeah. Not being there for you. Controlling behaviors or interactions. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So does anybody else feel like that's um that shows up in your relationship? Abusive. Yeah. So does anybody feel like what parts of those things, maybe that's a better answer. What parts of those things do you see in your relationship with your body? Take her for granted. Yeah. Ignoring or neglect. Abusive language. Whoo-wee, yeah, right? Abusive language, the things that we say to ourselves, not giving her a voice or a say. Yeah, being considerate, being in that considerate world. Yeah, for me, lack of trust, boundaries, yelling in my head, trash talking, right? This sort of lack of respect, right? That happens. Trash talking. Anybody trash talking themselves? Right, totally. Right. Valerie says lack of communication. Absolutely. Right. That communication. How are you? Oh, this is what I need. What do you need? What do you know, what would you like? Basic etiquette. Absolutely. Judith says, I don't know the phrase trash talking. How would you explain trash talking? I'm going to leave that to you all. Right. So it's talking.
I would say it's just like little put downs,
Yes.
things that you say. I find I do that to myself in anticipation of thinking that somebody might say something. I'll actually say something about myself, and then I'll think, wow, I can't even believe, like, nobody else is saying anything about you, but you put yourself down in that little jabby way.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yes, perfect sense. Well said. Thank you. Meredith, assuming she has nothing to contribute to the issue or question, right? That's such a very powerful thing that you're saying there, right? That assuming that you don't have wisdom.
Right.
It's actually an old sexist thing, right? Oh,
right. Well, yep.
What were you going to say, Meredith?
I was just going to say, yeah, that there's nothing to listen to from my body.
Right.
It's about managing it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that sort of misogynistic, like, oh, you don't have anything in your pretty little head going on. You won't have anything to say here. You have nothing to contribute to the conversation. Really? Really? Right? We're saying that to a body that's had decades of lived experience. Right? Oh, you have nothing to say. You have no experience in this. What? How is that even possible? Right? And lack of curiosity or interest, right? Like, I don't really care that much. Negative self-talk. Yes, that's exactly what trash talk is. Thank you. Like a bully would say. Yes. Being unkind. Good. Trying to control. Absolutely, Ina, right? Trying to control. And okay, and how does that work in a relationship? It doesn't, right?
Somebody gets discouraged if they're lucky.
Yeah.
One person is above the other.
Right.
Or in the body too.
Yep.
Wait, say that last thing again. I didn't catch it.
I said one person is above the other person. It's not an equal relationship.
It's not equal. Yes. Right? Somebody has the power and somebody doesn't. Yeah. And that shows up in our body in a lot of interesting ways. A lot of interesting ways. Um, the doctor's office shows up in the doctor's office. There you go, right? Unequal power dynamic. Absolutely. The person without power gets discouraged. All right. So, is this a relationship that you want? All of this unequal bullying, trash talking, all of this expectation, trusting others over yourself. Yep. It's not what we want at all. Okay, so before we get into, Judith is like, no, I don't want that. I do not want that. I do not want that. And I don't want that for anybody. Because where does it get us when we're in that relationship? What happens? What's the consequence? What's the price of living in this abusive, controlling relationship? Disrespectful, uncaring. I just got a wave of the feeling of it. Just as I was saying it, I was like, oh, it's just painful. We lose ourselves, our sense of self-worth. You stop trying. Bad and sad. That's exactly what happened. I was just saying it. I just felt that, like, bad and sad, like, oh. Think ill of yourself, unhappy, withdrawn. Yeah, we do. We pull away. We pull away from the pleasures of life. We pull away from intimacy. We pull away from doing the things we love. Feeling disconnected, feel less than, right? We stop bothering. We stop investing. Reese says we put up the walls and we push off emotions. Yeah. Oh, I don't know why I got it like a ton of bricks just in that moment. It feels really like the cost is too high. The cost is too high. It keeps us from living our life the way that we deserve to, from living our life fully, and it also keeps us from doing what we're supposed to do here on this world, in whatever way that is, because we're holding ourselves back. So powerful. Okay, so what's the relationship you want to have with your body? Let's talk about what makes a good relationship, whether it's with your body or if it's easier to think about, like, what makes a good relationship in life? What makes a fantastic relationship happen? Oh, I love this. It comes flying out. Accepting, gentle. Oh, doesn't that feel good? Just those words. Let these wash over you. Giving it time. Emily, I love that. Giving it time. Recognition. Trusting. Respect. Support. Loving. Safe. Right? To feel safety in our own body. Presuming good intent. Trust. Do you see how often trust comes up here? Kindness, friendliness, respect, trust, right? Respecting. You have something to say. You have something to contribute here. Understanding and accepting. Yes. Camaraderie. Respecting differences. So powerful, right? Respecting differences. So, this morning I was talking to Patrice, and she couldn't be here today. Compromise. Oh, good. So Patrice said, the kind of relationship I want with my body is one where it's like the beginning of a relationship where you're curious about the other person. You're really curious. You notice all the things. You listen to what they say. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's something so endearing about that. the preciousness of getting to know somebody for the first time, whether it's romantic or not. You're just fascinated by them. What's your opinion? What do you think? What do you want to do? Right? There's something so delightful in that. There's also, I was thinking about the beginning of the relationship that I have with my husband. And, you know, like sometimes I'm really awesome and sometimes I'm really irritable, you know, and sometimes he would just laugh. He'd be like, oh, you get yourself really worked up about this stuff. And he didn't take it seriously. He just was accepting, like, oh, and I was like, wow. Like he didn't get his knickers in a twist because I had my knickers in a twist. He was like, okay, right? That accepting even of somebody's quirkiness, even of their specific ways, right? There's something really powerful in that, just like, oh, this is the way you are, right? It's a little how like the other day I was in the shower and I was washing my belly and I was like, oh, look at you with all your stretch marks and your little rolls. And oh, there you are. Right? It's like, I'm not going to get myself all worked up because you're how you are. You are how you are. This is it. This is my body. And we'll talk more about this is my body right now in a little bit. So hold on one second. So many good things coming. Jen says, looking for the greatness, keeping promises, making amends, right? Those are really powerful, deep cornerstones of a good relationship, right? I say I'm going to feed you lunch, and I do. How amazing is that, right? Little promises, right? I'm living in a body, and one of my promises is that I actually have to eat to stay alive. So what do? I actually feed you. That's a promise. And oh gosh, I skipped lunch, or I ended up eating, you know, I don't know, donuts instead of like, you know, a piece of chicken and some avocado. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, let me try to make lunch ahead of time tomorrow. Let me be a better custodian. Let me be a better partner. Right? Okay. So let's take this a little bit into some action. These concepts of what is a good relationship and what is the kind of relationship that we want. Meredith, a great word, a custodian of my body. Yeah. It's kind of two ways, that idea of custodian, right? Our body is our home. It is our home, and we have to tend and be a caretaker of her, but she also is taking care of us. And how do we support that process? How do we be in this very deep, intimate relationship? So let's do a meditation. We're just going to feel into this kind of relationship for ourselves. So if it's comfortable for you, if you close your eyes and find your breath. Just find your breath. Notice how it's moving. It's always doing its thing, but just sort of get curious. How is it doing its thing right now? What part of you is being breathed? And then say hello to yourself with your specific endearment. And if you don't have one, you can try one on. Just try with your specific endearment. And then just try on this phrase. I want to be in relationship with you. I want to be in relationship with you. And just notice what comes up. I want to be in relationship with you. And just feel into that. And then asking into that space, dear body or sweetie or whatever it is, what do you need? What do you need for me to be in relationship with you? What do you need for me to be in relationship with you? There's no right answer, right? And the way our body communicates is quite different for each person, right? For some people, it might be a word. For some people, it might be an image. For some people, it might be a felt sense. For some people, it might be a color. Dear body, what do you need from me to be in relationship with you? What would make me a wonderful partner? What would make me a kind, respectful partner? What would make me a good person to be in relationship with? And then we're going to wrap up this meditation and just find a way to say thank you. Thank you to your body for having a conversation, even if nothing came up, even if it's just trying it on. Find a way to say thank you so much for having a conversation with me, for being patient with me, for hanging in there with me. And then when you're ready, I'd love for you to come back into our space together. What did you notice? What came up? It's interesting. Meredith says a bit of anger. I keep fighting. I kept fighting. The need for self-forgiveness. So those three comments, the first three comments are so telling, right? Some of my anger comes up. Some of my fight comes up. I'm still in this war. I'm still in this struggle. And what needs to come up is some forgiveness. Like, of course, right? There's some pieces to soften into, to realize this is a relationship and we have some old stuff. I'm actually mad. I'm fighting. I'm not into lovey-dovey yet. I have some unresolved stuff in this relationship that I need to say. I need to speak out, right? There's pieces of grief in our relationship that we're bringing to the present. There's anger, all of those. Ina says, stop criticism, right? Clear as day. Your body says, this is how you can be a better partner to me. Stop criticizing me all the time, right? So powerful. Judith, can you write what you were writing before? She's been, I didn't get the.
Yeah, my capitals died on me. She's been unbelievably patient with me. I stuck it later on.
Yes. unbelievably patient with me. So powerful. She has been unbelievably patient. Right? Our bodies are, right? They're still housing us. They are incredibly patient through all of our lives. Meredith, you need to pay attention to me. I know more baths. Marty, self-compassion. Willingness to open up to the process. Yeah, open the door. Let's create this relationship. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Valerie, my body needs love from me. Yes, right? It's our bodies have been so much on this receiving abuse, criticism. Yeah, baths are the best. Oh, Stacy says, not what I meant. I can't even get there. So Stacy, when you say you can't get there, what do you mean? Do you want to unmute yourself?
I mean, I was hearing my brain ask those questions, but my body, like I think Judy said this too, that like my body wasn't answering, because even though my body's got a brain, it's like they're integrated, and I've not been able to function this way and see a separation.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same to me.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna I hear what you're saying, and I want to talk a little bit more about how our body talks to us. So I'll get there. So thank you for bringing that up. That's great. Debbie says she wants me to keep my promises to feed her before she's starving, to not push through fatigue. Yeah. Judy says wasn't able to engage in the conversation. I hear you. We'll talk about that in 1 second. Marty, identifying the amazing things my body's done for me, right? The gratitude in there is powerful. Serene says, what can I give you? Answer, constant attention. That is so great. Constant attention. Absolutely. Tend to me like a newborn, because it is a new relationship. Consider me first. So powerful, right? Pay attention to me. Right. Meredith, ask what I want once in a while. Yeah. Acknowledgement, affirmation. Yeah, it's brilliant. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So our bodies are speaking to us all the time. And for those of us that it's hard, right? There's ways to start to come from here. This just like, okay, this is what I think, to actually, this is what I feel in my body. And the way that our body speaks, it has a very specific language. And the language is sensation. And we are trained to move past sensation. Oh, you can hold your pee. Just wait. You don't have to be, you're not hungry. You're not allowed to eat for another 18 hours these days. When I was younger, it was like 5 hours. Now it's like 18 hours, intermittent fasting, no food for you. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, how to really train us right out of listening to our own hunger. It just drives me a little berserk. But anyway, so when we can actually start to feel sensation, and it can start with very basic things. If we're really in the beginning of this process, so there's a story, I don't know if I've told it here, but I started as a body worker 30 some years ago. And so my hands were on women every day doing massage. And there's a client that I had, and she ended up working with me for a long time. But when I first put my hands on her, I said, what do you feel? And she said, what do you mean? I said, what do you feel in your body? And she said, your hands. And I was like, so underneath my hands, what do you feel? She was like, I don't know what you mean. And it took a while for her to allow herself to feel into her body and feel her sensations. And in those sensations are feelings, right? Our body holds our feelings. Our body holds our anger. Our body is the book of our life. And so to start Right? Marty says we override our bodies constantly, easier to go numb or think. Absolutely. Well said. Thank you. We do. We like go, oh, this is too much. This is too much to feel, or I don't want to hear what my body has to say, right? It's sad, it's angry. And yes, are some of those feelings in our head? Yeah, but there's a sensation, there's a felt experience. And so if you're at the beginning of this journey of, oh, I'm in a body, and this body has wisdom, but I don't know how to find it, is to get curious about sensation. And basic things can help us with that. One is just dry brushing, taking either a loofah or a dry washcloth and just wiping our body before a shower to start to feel the tingling of a little bit of roughness on our skin, right? Getting into sensation can show up at the table. It's a little bit of a harder thing to do first thing, but it can be, what does it feel like to swallow? What does it feel like for food to move through my body? We want to start to learn the language that our body speaks. The more we can learn the language of sensation, the more we can hear her wisdom of what she really needs. What kind of foods would really nourish her? What does she need? Rest? Does she need movement? And the more we can be in that conversation and hear what she's saying, the more likely we are to tend to her in a way that she deserves. Everybody is in a different place in that embodiment process. Everybody's had different experiences that allow them to be in their bodies or not, right? If we've had trauma in our body, I'm going to live up here. It's much safer. Body was not a safe place to be, right? And trauma can be all kinds of trauma, right? It can be big T trauma, right? Sexual violations, accidents, big injury, big illness. It can be little T trauma, being a woman walking down the street in our culture, right? There's a lot of ways that we're like, I don't think I want to feel what I'm feeling here. I'm going to be up here. So it takes a while to, just like if we were going to Italy and we'd like to learn Italian so we could get around Italy, it takes a while to learn the language. So if we're just coming into this relationship of embodiment and really being in a solid relationship with our body, it takes a little while to embody, to learn that language. There's another piece that I want to talk about in that, which is there's different experiences of coming into relationship at different times of our life. And what I call that is being body current. So I often hear women saying, well, if I could just get back to the weight that I was when I was 18, or if I could just lose the weight when I was for the wedding in the future, right? So we tend to live in the future body or the past body. And so being body current, saying, I want to be in a relationship with this body right now, is very important. And so there are basically like a lot of different bodies that we live in, right? One when we're an adolescent, one when we're, in our 20s or 30s. I think in the Body Peace Path once we did exercise where we did it every 5 years. What was the body? I think that was it. I'm looking at you, Serene. I can't remember. 10 years. We did every 10 years. Thank you. And it was amazing, right? Like, oh my gosh. So I just want to put out, when you think, we're not going to go 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, but when you think, what are the different bodies you've had? Just put in the chat. What are some of the different bodies you've had in your life? Pregnancy, right? It's its own kind of body. Absolutely. And even injury. Yep. Young athlete, right? That's a very interesting body. When we've had the young athlete body, it's a lot to get used to a different body as we age, as it changes. I've seen that over and over and over again with women who were young athletes. A skinny little girl, yep, happy and joyful, chubby child, horse rider, right? That sense of athleticism, right? That sense of strength. That was a body that we had. So powerful, right? There's all these different bodies we had. And we will continue to have. Meredith says sexual renewal in my 40s, right? Really alive, sensual body, right? That's a fun body. Carrying twins, right? Strong, childbearing, breastfeeding mother. Absolutely. And even for people who do not have children, right? People who adopt children, they often talk about a pre-child body, a post-child body. Women who don't have children, right? That experience of going into fertility and out of fertility. Those are different bodies as well, right? Being a dancer, that's a different body. Slender and sexy, though I didn't believe it, right? That sense of like, there's a lot of like juiciness in that body, right? Yeah, Meredith, menstruating body versus no longer. There's so many different bodies that we have. So what my invitation is let's get you in this conversation with this body now, not trying to get to that body. Judith says softer now than it used to be. Right. So like, let's be in relationship to this softer body, right? Often how I think of my body now is I have a little bit of a special needs body, right? Both shoulders have been frozen. I've had surgeries, like there's a zillion things now. I'm a bit of a special needs body. Judy, a diseased body now. Yeah, you have a special needs body, right? It has special needs because of dealing with illness. Absolutely. Right? And sometimes I don't want to be in relationship to this body, right? I don't know, some of you have heard, I really want to learn how to surf. It's my thing. I want to be able to surf by the time I'm 60. And my husband is like, you know, you do have those shoulders of yours, like one wrong wave and that's the end. And I'm like, but I really want to. And so a friend of mine who had visited Australia said, Nina, you know, surfing is not for the faint of heart. You get kicked by those waves. And I was like, I could feel it. I don't want to be in this body. I want to be in a body that has like athletic shoulders that will never move from where they are supposed to go. Right. And I was like, I had that grief. I am in this current body. Maybe this isn't a surfer body. I was sad. Right. But then it's like, okay, so what can I do with this body? What is this body? What is this body capable of? Right. Valerie says 3 parts of my body are now not working as they should, and it's hard to accept. Absolutely. With our current body, sometimes comes some grief. Grief is a huge piece of this, right? That's like my little surfing story. I was like sad. There was some grief, like, wait, that's my dream. I want to be a surfer girl. Because when I could have been, I would have never put myself in a wetsuit on a board. I would not have done it. I would have been too ashamed of my body. I was like, I am not that body type. This body type is not allowed to get on a surfboard. Right? And now I'm like, what the heck? Totally. So sad. It is so sad, right? Ree says, I've come through a year of a couple of surgeries, hands showing signs of arthritis, trying to celebrate what I can do. Easy to wallow, right? But there's wallowing and then there's grieving, right? You're allowed to grieve. Like, bummer. This is a changing body. Yep, changing body. And it will over and over again, over and over again. Judith says, I had that about becoming a teacher of Nia. Yeah. My long ago runner's body. Yes. So what I'm talking about is this relationship that's evolving. And what we're working to do here is create a relationship in our body now. How do we tend to this relationship, right? With my relationship with my husband, I am not having the relationship of when we met. There's some cool things I learned there, but we are in a different relationship 25 years later. So my invitation, Reese says, I like the distinction between wallowing and grieving. Acknowledging, accepting is the goal. Notice, but don't get stuck. Yeah. So we are in a different relationship with our body at this age, at this physical ability, with whatever, issues we have going on, with whatever traumas we have. We're working on this relationship. Often I say to people, and people sort of have no clue what the heck I do. And I say I'm a little bit like I'm a marriage counselor, except that instead of working with a couple, I'm working with a woman and her body. And we're trying to work out the relationship. They're like, oh, I get it. Right? So that's what we're up to, creating this relationship. All right. 10 minutes left. What I want to do is take 2 minutes and talk about the body peace path. And then I want to know, what are you taking away with you? Serene says, it feels so different to begin to accepting my current body. Just this morning, I was drying my hair naked and started shaking my hips and noticing how nicely my hips could shake left to right. I smiled and it felt good. It can be fun. Yes, this can be a fun relationship. Thank you. Right? And enjoyment, lusciousness. Yeah. Okay. Serene says, I probably feel this way because I'm on the body peace path. You are. That's a good thing. And I'm totally honored. So let me talk about the body peace path. So the body peace path, and there's a few of you who are in it, and it's just like the most wonderful honor. It's a group of women, no more than 10 women. Oh, Marty, if only I saw my body the way my lover does. Would you write that down for yourself? All of you, right? I see my body the way through my lover's eyes. Imagine that. So powerful. Thank you. All right. Sorry, I got distracted. So body peace path. Body peace path is a small group of women, no more than 10. We really are on the deep end of exploring this relationship with your body. It's a year-long journey. We meet 3 times a month as a group. We have a curriculum call. We have an integration call. And we also have a book group, which is the cool thing, so that we can really work through curriculum that other people are creating around this body liberation work. So we're diving into, how do you make this a sustainable long-term relationship with yourself? The body peace path also has individual sessions, and I think it's the coolest thing ever. And I developed it because one of my coaches several years ago said, how do you see, I had tried 2-month programs and 4-month programs and 6-month programs. She said, how do women make a change? I said, it takes a year. It takes a year to change the relationship, to do the unlearning, to do the relearning, to really make a shift. And it's most powerful when it's in community with other women, so that we're not holding on to our own shame and of I'm the only one. And when there's some individual support, so that we can go really, really deep into your own stuff. If that's something that you are interested in, I invite you to have a conversation with me. It costs $450 a month. It's the investment in a relationship that is forever. It's not a quick fix. It's when you want to be done with the war. It's not for everybody. It's for if you know that you really learn and grow by being in community. It's if you know that you really have a lot of lessons to learn from your own body, that there's some wisdom there for you. And it's for you if you want to stop the diet cycling, if it's for you, if you want to stop hating on your body. So I'm open to questions, and I do invite you just to reach out and we'll have a conversation, see if it's a good fit. We can talk on the phone or talk on Zoom, whatever works for you, but just give me like a shout out about it, and we can set something up. The next cohort is going to start in November, probably mid-November. And I add people, but the group that is going now, I'm not adding anybody. And wonderfully so, couple of people have said, do I have to leave? And you don't have to leave because it's so powerful. So that's why I'm creating a whole other cohort that's going to be really wonderful. And then what's cool is we'll have a bigger community, so we can do cool activities and other deep things all together. It's going to be so good. And the other fun thing is there's some great bonuses that go with the Body Peace Path. You get to do the compassionate eating course again whenever you want. So other cool stuff like that. So just give me a holler message on Facebook or email or text me or whatever, however, send up a flare, whatever your style is. And so that's what I need to say about the Body Peace Path for now. If you have more questions, please feel free to ask me on Friday when we talk. Oh, Judith says, part of what's great is the way we get to know each other more deeply. It's very special and worthwhile. Yeah, the group is phenomenal. We also have a WhatsApp group. And so it's a constant, it's this wonderful, continuum, it's like a support underneath all the time. It's really phenomenal. Okay, sisterhood. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was so interesting. The other night I was on a call with a whole group of health coaches that I usually see in person once a year. And we couldn't, obviously, so we just got on Zoom. And one of them said, one of the things I've really learned from this is I do best in communities of women. I feel supported. I don't feel alone. I feel like I get to be my true self in the world when I have that sense of sisterhood. It is very, very powerful. So what I want to know from you now is, what are you taking away from this day of talking about relationships? We talked about good relationships. We talked about bad relationships. We explored what your body was saying to you in that moment when you said, I want to be in relationship with you. We talked about being body current. We talked about sensation being the language of the body. And I think that's mostly what we talked about. So what are you taking away? And as I always say, I'm asking you both to anchor. I'm asking you, what are you taking away to anchor it for yourself? But also other people go, oh, you took that away. Oh, that's helpful to me. So it's a service to yourself and to everybody else to be able to say, hey, this is what feels meaningful to me. Serene, tending to my body like a newborn. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is just so compelling. That idea of that constant attention, that deep and you have a need. And the other thing that I think is so interesting about newborns is this idea that they don't have wants, they have needs, right? They end up being 2 or 3, you get wants. But in the beginning, it's just needs. And we were trained really that every need of our body is a want, and that want should be ignored. So there's something very powerful about going back to that newborn place to say, yes, my body has needs. Needs in babies are not negotiable, right? Their need for food is not like I need a toy, or it's a want, I want a toy, but I need food. And so we give them food, right? It's a very powerful place to be, in that deep connection of newborn need with our body. It's very immediate. Okay, Judith, mostly I'm still not great at listening when she tells me she's tired. Gonna really focus on that. Yeah. Yeah. Judith, I want to invite you into something specific, which is, in the way that we've gotten, like in the body peace path, we've gotten curious, what does hunger feel like really breaking that down. Like, what does tired feel like for you? What are the different kinds of tired? Right? There's like, oh my God, my body is so tired, I can't move. There's, oh my gosh, my brain is so tired, I can't think another thought. If you could get curious and make a list, and if you want to share it, in the WhatsApp group or something, but a list of at least 5 kinds of tired, because it helps to really recognize, oh, it's that tired, because all our tireds actually need something different, just like all our hungers need something different. So if you could pull it apart, I think that might be helpful. Okay, good. Marty says, acknowledging body sensations and allowing. Yes, right? It's basically saying, you're talking to me and I'm listening. That sensation piece is so powerful. Importance of being body current, easy to live in the past and future and not accept where our body is and appreciate it today. Absolutely. Body current, that concept, it lets us be in the now relationship with ourselves. And it gets us back to that, what Serena's saying about that newborn place. What do I need now? Not what should I do to have that body, or what should I do to have that body, but what does this body need? It's very powerful. Debbie says, how selfish I've been towards my body, ignoring her needs, not being a good partner to her. Love the idea of treating her like a newborn with needs. Yeah. So powerful. Debbie, body current. Yeah, absolutely. Valerie, I recognize that my body has needs. My brain has wants. Yeah, our body does have needs. And we're often trying to, okay, live head up. Meredith, my body and I have some unresolved issues to work through in order to be in relationship. I can really do my part to be a good partner. Yeah. 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 And honestly, like, that's why, we do the body peace path. We all have unresolved issues to work on. Like, I help you do it because it's like, that's the place to do the work. That's where it all happens. When it's sort of before I even got married, before I was even engaged, my husband and I went to a couples workshop because I wanted us to have the similar language for relationship. Because I'd come out of like living in an ashram and I had all this new agey language. And I was like, I cannot be teaching him the language of relationship. So we went to learn a common relationship language. And in that process of learning a language, we also learned the concept that all of our unresolved stuff was going to come up in that relationship, and it was there for us to grow and learn. And that set the stage for a great marriage because, okay, here's your stuff. Welcome to, personal growth 541, like that's the reality. For those of us who are eaters, right? Because we're all eaters, we all need to eat. Our personal growth shows up every time we sit down, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There it is. Personal growth. I have lots of friends who are like Tony Robbins, like big workshops. I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't need that. All I need to do is dinner. Like every single one of my issues is going to show up on that plate. So to be in that place where those, Meredith, what you were saying, that unresolved issues, it's like, okay, here we go. It's my opportunity to learn, to grow. It's my Tony Robbins. It's very powerful. All right. Anything else anybody else has to say? Last thoughts, feelings? Okay. So here's where we are, is Friday integration call. Let it stew. There should be a few more days of shifting into body love if you're doing it the slow day by day way. And if you want to watch all the videos, I think it was in the first 2 emails, there was a link to the page with all the videos. You just have to scroll to the bottom to get to the first one and work your way back up. And then Monday is our last integration call. And I look forward to seeing you all there. Keep letting me know how you are on Facebook. Send me a message, email, whatever, if you want to talk about the body peace path. All right. Thank you all very much. You can unmute yourself if you want. We can have a nice loud goodbye.
Hi, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
everyone.
Thank you so,
Bye.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye, everybody.